Hi, myRockworld fans. Tonight we are at the Zenit and we meet one of the founding members of the girl band GIRLSCHOOL, which is a cool metal band, 4 ladies, and we have the founding member, the singer and bass player, Enid Williams. I hope I spelled the name right. And so welcome in Munich.
Welcome.
GIRLSCHOOL started in 1977 as Painted Lady.
75.
75 as Painted Lady, and then 1978 you changed to GIRLSCHOOL. Why you changed to GIRLSCHOOL?
Because we had a lot of different lineup changes.
At the beginning?
Yes, Kim and I grew up together. We grew up in the same street, and went to school together and so on. And
so really a big friendship also.
Yes, but sometimes fighting and competitive. But it's but yeah, we it's like sisters. Sometimes we kind of, but we know each other very well, and many years. So we began the band in 75. Painted Lady was mostly doing cover songs.
Oh, okay.
And we did some of our own material, but a lot of rock music and Hendrix and Chuck Berry and everything. And we had all these different lineups. And we knew Denise because she played in a couple of bands. There were a few women musicians around at that time, but not many. So everyone knew everybody else.
Understand.
Yeah. And then Kelly joined Painted Lady in 77.
Okay.
We went in the studio, did a couple of tracks, and it wasn't working with the drummer, so we asked Denise to join, and that was in the spring of 78. And she said, "I'm not joining your bloody band."
With this name?
Well, it was because she wanted a new start. So really it was the same band, but Denise joined. But it did change also because we began to write songs a lot more at that point. We're still doing some covers. It's all rock covers,
which is always good.
We did when we went in the studio, we did Let's Spend the Night Together was one of the songs. So we had a manager very briefly at that time, and we were in a pub standing there, and we couldn't think of a name, and he went over to the jukebox and he said, "Well, how about GIRLSCHOOL?" And it was a B-side of Paul McCartney's single Mull of Kintyre. And of all the suggestions that came, I can't remember the other ideas, but they were rubbish, clearly.
It's a perfect name.
So this was the one that we chose.
Cool. And then we make a little cut. Because we speak with you, and you left 1982 and came back 2000.
Yes.
What have you done in the time, and why have you left the band?
Well, it's a little hard to talk about why I left the band because it was very
fighting.
Yeah.
Let's say it was a big fight, and now you love each other a lot. Okay.
Well, it was a little bit. I've always been a songwriter and a singer, and I love playing bass, but I've always done singing and songwriting. And in the band, Kelly and Kim had a partnership, and so when we were writing, there wasn't a lot of space for me to put my songs. A bit like Kim said one time, like George Harrison, you know, he could write some good songs, but when you have Lennon McCartney, there's not a lot of room. You've got too many songwriters.
Understand.
Yeah, it was a little.
You came back in 2000, and since that time you're with the band.
Yeah,
so
but in this time I went to college and did a postgraduate degree in music in a classical college, and then I sang with English National Opera.
Wow.
Just the one opera that they wrote for our voices. They wanted different voices that were loud.
Yes.
And then I wrote 4 little operas myself and put them on. And I had a band. I was involved in organising a festival, and I put together a band with some of GIRLSCHOOL and Toya Wilcox.
Yes, cool guy.
Singing, and I ended up playing bass on that. And then I did a couple of theatre shows, Return to the Forbidden Planet and the Buddy Holly story. And I'm an astrologer, and I did a bit on television of this and taught 800 people to sing and taught some music to little children in kindergarten, and I leave the rest out. But vegetarian catering company.
Dear members, as we know, she's back, and they have a new record. It's called Guilty as Sin. So please tell us something about this album and how did the songs came together, and so a little bit behind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was a very strange album because we began talking about the album and so forth, and then Chris Tangarides got really ill. And we've always worked with Tim Hamill, and he's brilliant, but for different reasons, people wanted to try something different. And so we agreed, okay, we'll do this album with Chris Tangarides, we'll see how this goes. And then he got very, very ill. And for a while we didn't know for sure, is it happening, is it not? This was the year we were meant to be recording, and the year was going by, and we were getting on with our lives in other ways. And then suddenly it's the end of the year and it's like, oh, you're going in the studio in January. And so we'd all been working a little separately, but we hadn't come together in the way we would normally do. And then suddenly it was chaos. We came together for rehearsal and we didn't know what everyone was bringing in, really. And the way that it works is Jackie writes a little with Kim, Jackie writes a little with me. I want to do lots of writing, so I write a little alone, and we're all fighting because we want our songs to go on the album. And so we're always trying to write better songs because we want our ones on the album. There are 3 main writers in the band. And when we recorded it and we started to look back, it feels like it's an album that is a homage to all the music that we've loved over the decades. So it's always girls' school because we always have a heavy sound.
Yeah.
And we're probably the only heavy band with 2 lead singers. In the past, we've had 3 lead singers, although Kim didn't do much in the beginning. It was Kelly and myself. I started and then Kelly joined in, and you don't hear female lead vocals much on heavy music, especially when you have more than one. And I think this is one of the things that makes us unique, that makes the sound.
So friends, remember, the new album is called Guilty as Sin. And Marty continues, because I have to leave now, because I have to photograph Motorhead. So we see us later. Ciao.
Okay. So, do you have any favorite song on that album, and why?
Oh, that's you'll have different answers from different members of the band.
What's your personal favorite song?
Oh, I don't have one favourite, but of course that there are some I like more than others. Oh, Dankeschön. Vielen Dank. Brilliant. I'm just saying this because I've just been handed a T-shirt and it's really quite lovely. It's got a really gorgeous design on it. Yep. I love it.
The myRockworld shirt.
Then I'm sure the people that listen to your programme, to your station, know about this T-shirt.
You can't buy it. It's given away.
Then I'm very
once per week, always on Sunday.
Oh, okay then. Well,
coming back to your favourite song.
It's impossible to say one completely favourite song, but and also we all have our different personal favourites. I think I do love Treasure, but this is perhaps a little unfair because I wrote that. But I do like that song, and I think we're quite pleased with how Staying Alive came out. We had different ideas. Should we do this? Is this crazy? But it's got a riff in it, and we're very happy with the way that's come out. Take It Like a Band is like Motorheady.
I like this also very much.
I didn't write this one, but I really love the lyrics. They make me laugh a lot. And Revolution is also very dear to our heart because it's quite political, and it's important to feel passionate about what you do.
Yep.
And some of the lyrics are quite about climate change and about things that we really care about.
Are there any plans to record the one or other show for a live album on this tour?
Well, we were filmed tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're filmed tomorrow night. So we're going to have a DVD stroke documentary. we'll see how that pans out. But we have something coming soon.
Okay, that's great.
Munich and London we're filming.
And coming back to last week, what happened in Paris?
Yes.
The tragic terror attack last week. What are your thoughts about this, and how difficult is it for you to continue and to walk on stage with these images and pictures in mind?
Well, it's when you ask a question like that, automatically I become the astrologer.
Yeah.
And it's probably not appropriate to get too technical, but the symbolism, astrology is a symbolic language, and the symbolism is very strong to suggest a lot more happening very soon. I think you have to get on with your lives.
Yeah.
If there is a specific threat, if you know a time is particularly dangerous, maybe that's the time to make changes. But it's very hard to talk about. It's also very personal because, you know, some of the bands were going to go to that gig, and some of the people here know the guy who sold the merchandise and the woman who was doing the lights who was injured. It's very, very close to home. And it was quite extraordinary for us because we did a gig in Belgium on the Friday, and of course some of the people came from Belgium, and we were told the gig was on, so we drove to Paris on the Saturday. We're in the hotel, there are armed guards outside on the street, and it seems so surreal, and yet there are half the people in the world, maybe more, live constantly with this fear. And we haven't had this for 70 years. It's something that I think the next 5 years I think are going to be very, very hard. And in astrological terms, you have different periods in history, and there is one that lasts about 240 years, and this finishes in 2020, and then we have a turning point. Maybe China becomes more dominant, but certainly with Islam and these very small group of people, how this is going to affect how people feel towards refugees. It's very, very complex. And also for many of us, it's not just black and white, the goodies and the baddies. I loathe Tony Blair and George Bush nearly as much as I hate these monsters who kill people. They are also murderers, and so the people they are fighting are also my enemy. Nothing is simple anymore. Nothing is simple, and this is the world that we live in.
But you have to continue. So
yes, you have to continue. Unless there is a very specific threat, you go, I will live the life that I choose to live, and you have to.
Ricky Warwick from Black Star Riders, day before yesterday, also told me this. So you have to continue.
Oh yes, for sure, for sure. But there is a lot of danger, of course.
Let's come to another thing, another question. Let's go back a little bit in time. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give a 21-year-old version of yourself in case of music, business, or it's a tricky one.
That is a tricky one. Be silent. That's unheard of. What advice would I give a 21-year-old?
Because music has changed a lot. In this.
At 21. How to interpret the question? A 21-year-old me at that moment in time. To study astrology earlier, and then I would understand things a lot earlier. But if it was like a 21-year-old now, the world is so different, and certainly in music, it's, but the principle is the same. There's an anthropologist called Joseph Campbell, who he's dead now, but he studied anthropology all around the world, and there are certain stories that run through every culture, like the story of the hero, and this was the basis of Star Wars, for example. And he said, follow your bliss. So whatever makes you feel alive, that makes you feel passionate, that is what you should follow. And if you truly believe in it and you're passionate, then you can make something of that in your life. I'm pagan as well. Do what thou wills, but harm none.
Okay. When did you start it with this astrology? When have you started this?
About 25 years ago.
25 years ago, okay. So next question. Who are your heroes starting out playing music?
Well, as I said, Kim and I grew up together, and we had similar taste in music. We loved David Bowie.
Okay.
And I know that seems a strange one for our music.
Have you ever met him?
No.
Okay.
No. Got very close, but no, haven't met him. David Bowie and Mark Bolan. We loved that sort of glam rock, Alice Cooper. But the the first rock metal that I heard was Black Sabbath.
Okay.
And I went to the library. I must have been 11, 12, that sort of age. And I got 2 Black Sabbath albums out. And I hadn't heard anything like it in my life. It was...
You were blown away.
Blown away, yeah. Well, when I stop speaking, you know there's something really wrong, or that I'm in awe, or whatever. And then we got really into Zeppelin, and they were the first band I saw live.
Okay. When did you saw them live?
Earls Court 75. Queued up the whole night on someone's doorstep.
Okay. I'm jealous. I was just 4 years old. Okay. Next one. Please tell us a secret funny thing about girls' school that nobody knows. Maybe something you would not have killed from the other ones. So.
I think I'll get in trouble if I do. If I answer that, yeah.
Maybe.
Well, something that nobody knows. Well, some of us love gardening.
Oh, okay.
Is that shocking?
I know. Glenn Hughes told me the same.
Yeah.
He loves gardening, so it's.
Yeah. Well, it's really.
Okay.
Really love gardening, and I have a 200-foot garden by myself. Kim has a ½ acre, but with other people, and I planted cherry trees.
That's awesome.
For Chekhov.
Okay.
No, the cherry orchard, you go out in the garden and it's magic. Picking fruit off the tree and just put it straight in your mouth. It's heaven.
Awesome. Last one. Some words to the fans, please.
Stay safe, stay strong, enjoy yourself, and love life.
Okay, and buy the new album.
Of course.
Sure. Okay. And thank you very much for this interview.
Vielen Dank.